What's up guys, it's McNulty here. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are all doing well, and today we are going to be taking a deep icy plunge into the best ice epic and rare heroes in Empires and Puzzles for 2024. That's right, the votes are in and you guys have gone with ice, so we're going to be looking at all of these blue beasts and we're going to be picking out the best of the best S tier heroes that will enhance your roster and that you'll use every single day. So we got a total of 36 epics and we've got a total of 29 rare heroes to have a look at. And this list is up to date as of March 2024. And again, a massive thank you to Zartanis for keeping us in the loop. So let's go ahead and we'll break the ice with our first contender we're going to be looking at in the top left-hand corner. And this is this buggy-eyed freak of a hero called Agway. I used Agway for a heck of a long time because he has a hit all and because he's got a defense up against nature. But then they released the costume and I saw the hit all and then he has a burn. And I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. But the burn is only against nature. Why? Why would you just burn against nature? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever, and he's an absolutely terrible hero, unfortunately, so I'm going to give him a C grade to start off with. Now, moving on to Aqualith, one of these heroes that I was really super duper excited about because he is pretty much the only 4-star taunt hero, and he's running at fast speed as well. I mean, I know he's on the changing tides mechanic, but his taunt increases turns. The only issue I have with Aqualith is that the majority of taunt heroes do have the taunt ether talent, and that really would help this guy a huge amount if he did have that talent. I'm not going to say that he is a B grade or C grade hero. He's still an A plus hero because of the fact that he gets the taunt effect, but he could just be so much better if he had that ether talent, and also if he had some kind of defense when he puts up his taunt, because he's encouraging everybody to attack him, and then when they do attack him he's just falling prey to their attacks. And I do like the mechanic where he gets that sort of bulwark effect with the attack triggering afterwards, but to be honest, he's just fallen a little bit short of the mark for me. So still a good hero, but not a great hero. Now, next to him, though, we have Asmia. Ask me a question. So Asmia is an insanely good hero from the season 5 from the Dunes portal. She's just got a little bit of everything in just the right amounts, curves in all the right places. What more can we say? She's an S tier hero all day long. Now, next to her, on the other hand, we have Borrel. Man, Borrel's really a one-trick pony. He's 125% counterattack in the initial costume for the caster and nearby. It does last for a long time, for 5 turns. And then in the initial costume, he gets a 60% counterattack, which is, for 4 turns to all. And then in the last one, he gets it for 4 turns to all, and it's scaling. I mean, it's just counterattack. There's nothing else happening with this hero. So Borrel, unfortunately, I'm going to give a B grade. He's just neither. He's definitely not in the top. Captain of Diamonds, pretty interesting hero, really good minion destroyer, but pretty dated stats. So I would say that I don't really think that he's worth leveling in today's day and age. Unless we see a costume for Captain of Diamonds, I would pretty much leave him alone. Now, Fosco next to him, he is one of our newer 4-star heroes, and he does a lot. I mean, he destroys all minions, dispels buffs, he's got a team-wide heal, but it's just too small. And at slow speed, he deserves more. Or at least some damage. Really disappointing hero, unfortunately, Fosco. So he doesn't make the cut. So from the first row, I would say Asmia definitely makes it as an S tier hero, and Aqualith can be usable, but not quite. Like, he's just missing the cut by a real minuscule margin. And then the next row, we've got Frank. So I do like the original version of Frank with his massive hit and defense down, 44% defense down. It's really good, and the hit increases depending on how many dead enemies there are. So I really like that about Frank. The only problem is that his costume is trying too hard. He's trying to be Skadi in a 4-star version, and it just doesn't work. So the original version of Frank, I would say S tier in rush tournaments all day long. But the costume version, aside from the stat boost, just is a bit of a waste of space. Now, Garius, next to him, he's a hit one at average speed. He gives a mana boost from tiles. So aside from the bard bonus, he doesn't really have any other good use case. So you could put him in alongside somebody like Isania if you have the costume bonus. Get her to fire in 9 tiles. That would be a usable use case for Garius. But other than that, he's pretty lackluster. So yeah, he doesn't make the cut. Next to him, Grim. What can we say about this skeletal mofo? He's absolutely amazing. He's got everything going for him in every different costume version. So in the original version, he gets that attack down for a whopping 6 turns. He hits 3. He gets the Rage Ether talent. In the costume, he gets attack up, a pretty big attack up for the whole team. In the second costume, he gets the special skill increase for the caster and nearby, which is awesome if you pair him up with heroes like Pengi, for example. And then you've got the toon version, which is just combining everything in a beastly looking toon. And I do like the art on the toon, but I'm not going to give him an S tier just for that. I'm going to give him an S tier because he deserves it. He definitely deserves it. So still a fantastic hero, Grim. Next to him, we have Jot. Jot is a Titan specialist. He increases the damage of all the tiles. He increases the attack on each tile, decreases it for the enemy attacker, but you don't really use him for that. You use him to increase your scores against Titans, and for that, there isn't anybody better than Jot. So he's a fantastic hero, S tier for his uses. Next to him, we have Kirill. And again, we've got some pretty awesome costumes for my man Kirill. So in the initial costume, that attack up and defense up. In the in the initial version, the attack and defense up. In the initial costume, the attack and defense down. In the second costume, we've got the boosted health and defense up, which is awesome. I mean, he's a master of all trades, not just a jack of all trades, but a master. And then, of course, we've got the toon costume, and the toon costume is awesome. Just because he gets that undispellable effect as well. So yeah, S tier hero all day long for Kirill in pretty much all versions. And then next to him, we've got Knuckles. So Knuckles is a unique reflect hero. I love the fact that he reflects stacks, and he can also stack with other reflect heroes. So you can pair him up with heroes like Kitty or heroes like what's her name now, Goldie, and they will work together so those reflects can stack upon each other. Yes, he doesn't do anything else, so he doesn't have healing, but he does give a really good defense up, and I think he's an excellent hero. I use him all the time, especially when I'm going up against these nasty mindless attack heroes. He can be fantastic. So Knuckles gets an S tier from me. Linus next to Knuckles, he's good damage at fast speed. I would say that he is better on defense, just slightly, he's slightly Roz-esque. So yeah, I would give him an S tier, but the only problem is for 12 tiles for the hit all, it just ain't gonna happen. So yeah, Linus is a really good hero, don't get me wrong, but he can be a little bit finicky and he is tile dependent. So he gets an S tier, but only just. And then Mayaweave next to him, she's good on paper, or she at least was good on paper, but in practice she's absolutely terrible. It just takes too long to get that attack up to where you need it, and even then she just hits like a wet fish. And yeah, that's enough said. She's definitely not S tier. Now who's next to her? We've got Olbeck. Olbeck is our newest 4-star hero, obviously from the Owls. He is a single target sniper with the Moonrise Strike. He's running at fast speed, so I like that. But the 10% mana cut to 1 really doesn't make that big of a difference. Paired up with Goldie, he can be good because it increases the attack on the Moonrise Strike, but otherwise he's a pretty standard hero. I'd say maybe A grade. Yeah, A grade. We're not going to go A plus for him. Sangreor next to him. Sangreor has actually received a buff. So she is better now than she was with the health boost rather than the with the massive health boost rather than the what did she get before? I can't even remember. I think it was just an upfront heal. But she's definitely a better hero now. I wouldn't say S tier though, but she can work in a pinch. She's as a health booster. But then if you have her and you have costume to Kirill, I don't see why you wouldn't just use costume to Kirill, to be honest. So yeah, she falls down a little bit there. Sapphire. Sapphire from the ninjas. She has a damage to 1, 3, or all, and it scales from 225% up to 290% to all with an increasing bypass chance. I would say she's an awesome hero, but she needs a costume or a buff, and she could be pretty solid. So for now, as is, I would give her an A, but nothing more. If she gets a stat boost, I know she gets the special skill damage, but she needs a bit more than that for her to enter into the realms of the S tier hero. Now, next to her, we have Sonya. Sonya is an absolutely awesome hero. Again, she is a master of all trades. So in the initial version, you've got the the dispel. In the costume, you've got the cleanse. And then in the secondary costume, you've got, I think it's buff immunity. Shit, I can't even remember now, but she's really versatile. And I can't wait to see what the Toon costume for Sonya holds. So I cannot give her anything other than an S tier. She's an absolutely brilliant hero. Next to her, we have my man Triton. So Triton in the initial version was pretty good because he increases the healing to all allies, and that's a unique effect at the 4-star level, and he runs at fast speed. What I just don't really think is that it works that well with boosted health, and we're now seeing boosted health become all the more prevalent. So I think he falls down a little bit. In the costume version for Triton, he basically has the same hit as Grim, running at faster speed with a 30% rather than a 50% attack up to all. But my question with him and his costume is, why wouldn't you just use Grim and be a little bit patient? Because he's going to give a bigger attack boost by a pretty decent margin, and it's not going to take you that much more to get there. So yeah, he's a pretty good hero, but again, A+, not quite S tier. Valeria, I'm not a huge fan of. She is trying to be oh God, so many names I just can't remember. Victor. She's trying to be Victor. She's really not doing a great job of it. She's just a weird hero, and she doesn't work very well. I'm not a huge fan of her. Xiao Hu Dun, on the other hand, is a beast. I mean, he's probably like the single most annoying hero in the 4 stars in ice. If ever you go up against him, you cannot forget about him, and he seems to revive like 100% of the time. But the fact that he hits so hard running at fast speed, and he throws up those horrible minions, and he gets the attack up ether power. He's a fantastic hero. I really hope that we do see a costume for the 3 kingdoms. If we ever do, he's going to be able to stabilize, but he's just such a great hero. I would give him an S tier, no questions, no ifs, ands, or buts. Zilla is an interesting hero. I did level her up and max her, and I was interested in getting the attack down, the defense down for the edges of the enemy formation. I thought she might be good with like a hit 3 defense down to the middle, but unfortunately she really just doesn't perform as intended. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Zilla. I can't give her anything other than a B, unfortunately. Now let's move on. So let's move on into the 3-star heroes that we have on this list. Starting off with Chick Jr. Chick Jr. is pretty cool. He is lacking a little bit though in terms of the damage. So he was a pretty good hero for events, but not anymore, unfortunately. Dawn, who is next to him, on the other hand, is absolutely amazing. With those little minions with the mana cut, she's an S tier hero all day long. I would second limit break Dawn. If you haven't, go ahead and do it. You won't regret it. Now Frosty. He's an interesting hero. So we've got a few interesting healers in the 3-star category. So Frosty has a heal and gives minions for all. I'm going to skip over a couple here. So Lima has a massive, a good heal and a massive 94% increased defense against nature for all allies. And then we've got Hilo somewhere here. Gosh, I'm going to skip over. I'm going to regret doing this. There he is. So we've got Hilo, who gives the same amount of heal, 32% heal and cleanse. And I'm going to go ahead and say that all three of these heroes I would put in the S tier. Frosty, Guardian Lima, and Hilo. I'd probably give it to Hilo just because he has the cleanse attached, but they're all pretty damn good healers. And then Gato, who's next to Frosty. He's an interesting hero. So he gives ailment immunity to himself and the nearby. It's quite niche for 3 stars, but I believe strongly that it will come into play at some point. And if it does, you're going to regret not having him leveled. So he's great. Plus, he's running at fast speed. So S tier for Gato. Greymane, just a terrible hero. There's nothing good I have to say about Greymane at all. Costume for Gunner and the regular version, not as much with the regular version, but the costume, if you don't have the costume for Gunner, you will never ever do well in rare stages of events. That's just the way it is, has been, and probably always will be. So yeah, he's a definite S tier hero and an absolute must have from the 3 stars. Hilo, we've already gone over. Jareth, I'm not a huge fan. He looks good, but he's a single target. Kind of lets him down. I'll give him a B. Java, again, he suffers from the same as Maya Weave that we just looked at. It takes him too long to get everything going. So he could have nothing other than a B. Next to him, I'm going to butcher this name now. Jukahainen? From the Kelvala heroes, priority, dispel, and hit all. Just a fantastic hero at the 3-star level. So S tier for him. Carol, I would say S tier for him as well. 240% damage to the target, minor to nearby in the costume version, plus the burn of 60 for 3 turns. I know it's not a huge amount, but it can finish some heroes off, so I do like him a lot. Nordri is a fantastic hero. We've got the defense down, elemental defense down, which is unique as well. And he can be used against 14-star Titans, no problem. So fantastic hero, pretty decent hit as well. So he's an S tier hero as well from the 3 stars. We've got a lot of S tier heroes in the 3 stars, to be fair. Who else have we got? Planchette. Hey guys, sorry about that. I just had to take a quick break, a little bit of an interruption, so the video will have been cut, so I'm not sure how this is going to work. But we were, before we left off, looking at Planchette. So as I was saying, Planchette over here, my man from the Musketeers, he is a pretty interesting hero. He destroys minions and has a huge single target snipe. For 385% damage. Then he self-heals a little bit as well. So I do like it. But minion summoners at the 3-star level usually aren't single hero summoners. And at all levels, you know, most of them are not single hero summoners. So for example, somebody like, you know, Gefjon, I would compare him to. It can be a bit problematic. I'll give him an A+. Because I do like his damage and I do like the fact that he is interesting in the way that he destroys the minions and then has a massive hit. But yeah, not quite in the S tier for me, to be fair. Soroka, single target, meh. Yeah, she goes up to 335, I think, but it's tile dependent. I'd much rather have Planchette next to her. Swan Maiden is awesome. She is the mini version of Odette, so you cannot go wrong with the Swan Maiden. She's an absolutely S tier hero, and she is definitely making the rounds in the tournaments. And then Ulma next to her is awesome for Rush. He's also really good in the costume version for the events because he gives an attack increase to all. Obviously, without the costume, he gives a pretty decent defense down as well. So Ulma would be an S tier hero from the 3 stars. Valen, he's like the fast speed version of Ulma, but he just gives the defense down to a single target. I wouldn't put him in the same kind of realm. But with the Toon costume, he does have a pretty decent hit. So I would say probably an A grade hero, not quite S tier for him. Um, who else have we got? Virgil, I'm not a huge fan of, so he doesn't make the cut either. Vodnik is a weird hero. Like, he gets 280 up to, I think, 400% damage at fast speed, but it's dependent on mana. It sounds amazing, but honestly, try getting it right. He just doesn't work as intended. So, yeah, don't level him. You'll regret it. Yao, on the other hand, is awesome. So, again, like as an event hero, he's absolutely brilliant. He hits 3 for the same amount of damage. He summons a minion which dispels buffs. So he is just awesome and a definite S tier hero to end off the list for the 3 stars as well. So that is it. So we've gone over all of these 3 stars and we've gone over all of the 4 stars as well. So now it is time to count down the top Ice Heroes in the Epic and Rare category for Empires and Puzzles 2024. So we're going to get started with the rares. Coming in at number 5 with his icy skills is Gunnar in the costume. Like I said before, if you do not have this hero maxed, you will never ever do well in the events. It's just the way it is. Maybe it's unfortunate, you may say it's a bit unfair, but that is the way it is for right now. So what does he do that's so important? He gives the soul connection for 5 turns to himself. To all the enemies. So that means that all of the enemies share the received damage, which is super important because you want to be hitting them and killing them all at the same time. And they also get negative 44% defense for 5 turns. So he may look like a pretty simple, straightforward blacksmith, but actually, in actuality, this guy is an absolute master of the events in the game, and he will increase your scores to no end. So Costume Gunner easily makes the number 5 spot. Now, coming in at number 4, another frozen monster is Nordri. I put the 1 in the costume because I just like the art, but either version will do. He gives a decent amount of damage to the target and nearby, and he gives a massive defense down against ice for 3 turns. Now in the costume version, it lasts for an extra 2 turns, so it actually works a bit better against titans. So I would say the costume version maybe wins out slightly, but only slightly. And again, for an event hero, giving the elemental defense down, you will not find a top event team in the rare format without Costume Nordri or without one of the Nordris on there. He's just an insanely good hero. So absolutely deserves the number 4 spot on this list. Now moving on into the top 3. Coming in at number 3, we have a duo of heroes, and the problem with this is I literally could not pick between these two. They are both great heroes, and they both great for their own reasons. They're kind of similar in the fact that they dispel. One dispels with minions and one just dispels all, but it's so hard to pick between the two. I mean, with Yukainen, I'm trying to say his name right. He dispels buffs from all enemies as a priority, and then he deals 165 damage to all. It's not a huge amount of damage, but that priority dispel is insanely good at the 3-star level because you've got some heroes that put up pretty hardcore buffs, and you want to get rid of them before the hit happens. Then all enemies are immune to new status effect buffs for the following 4 turns. So he's adding insult to injury there. And against nature characters, the status effect becomes uncleansable. You don't even need that last part. Just with the first 2, he's a brilliant hero. And then with Yao, again, like I said, an even amount of damage to the target nearby. He does hit really hard because, as you can see, his attack stat is really good. And he summons the soldier minion, which then dispels all dispellable buffs from the target. Like I said, I just can't pick between the 2 of these guys, but they're both incredibly good heroes. So they make my number 3 spot. Now, at number 2, for the Ice Heroes in the rare category, it is the Swan Maiden. So our newest 3-star hero, she has definitely performed up to my expectations. She is just a mini version of Odette. She is running at the same speed. You know, she regenerates health for herself. She gets the chance to dodge, and then she casts that Dance of the Swan, which basically is undispellable and removes or gives immunity to new status effects. But it also gives everybody the chance to dodge attacks and special skills. It's a 35% chance to deal damage to a random enemy after any subsequent allied special skill. She's just got it all going on. Apart from the fact that she is probably the ugliest looking ballerina I have ever seen, she definitely deserves the number 2 spot. The Swan Maiden is number 2. And that leaves our number 1 spot for the Ice 3 stars. And this guy is my top pick. Well, actually, I said guy. I didn't want to give it away, but coming in at number 1, it cannot be anybody else. My number 1 pick for the Ice Heroes is Dawn. Just an insane hero. I mean, the best 3-star hero. In my humble opinion, she's the one that I love using the most. I get the most fun out of using Dawn. She's just insane. I mean, she's got the right class, but the main thing is this special. She is just like Lady of the Lake, but running at average speed. She summons the Hunting Owl minion for the caster and nearby. It's got a pretty decent amount of attack, but very minimal HP. But each hit from the minion reduces the mana of the target by 6%, and that is enough. That is all you need to be able to get those extra turns that you need to be able to fire off your special. She's a defensive specialist, but she can be used as part of an attacking team as well, so I wouldn't shy away from using Dawn. She's an insanely good hero, and then she has a cleanse for the caster and nearby, and she increases defense against special skills for the caster and nearby. She's just doing everything so damn well. I absolutely love Dawn, and she's an easy pick in the number 1 spot. And now we're going into the epics. So we're going to start off with number 5, coming in hot or cold. It is Sonya. Now, Sonya is a really good jack of all trades type of hero, like I said, and I've put this version on just to remind me what she actually does. It was an immunity to effect buffs, and it's all enemies are immune. So at her special, she's running at fast speed. The first one gives a team-wide dispel, second one gives a team-wide cleanse, and then the third one gives all enemies immunity to new status effect buffs. Granted, it is only for 2 turns, and a lot of people are not sure why they did this instead of doing a replicate for Costume Caedmon, or a duplicate of what Costume Caedmon does. But to be honest, I kind of like the fact that they did something different with Sonya. Like I say, she's just going to be an awesome tool in your toolbox. You'll take her out a lot more than you expect, and she easily makes the number 5 spot for me. So moving on into number 4, it is Azmir. Azmir, as I said, she's probably my favorite healer. She might not be the most effective healer, but she's awesome because she gives the counter attack as well. She has a great family bonus and excellent passive, which gives her a boost on her health as well. So even though she only says she recovers 15% health for all allies, she gets a pretty high chance to boost the health by 10% and cleanse as well. And then she gives the counter attack to the caster and nearby, which scales out and increases, maxing out at 130%. And I cannot tell you how many times she has helped me to wipe out some of these super duper overpowered heroes. And I use her in towers, and I use her in events, and I use her to play through map stages as well, especially in season 5 where she gets that boost. I really like Azmir, and I think she's a great hero, a great healer, and she will serve you well every day of the week. And that's why she makes my number 4 spot. Now on to the top 3. The top 3 epic heroes in Ice. And in third place, it is Grim. It makes me laugh looking at this card. So obviously, like I said before, Grim has got everything going for him. In the initial version, he gets the defense down for a long period of time, 6 turns. In the costume, he gets the attack up. And again, he can be really well used in events, especially in the epic stages of the events. If you put him alongside Costume Gunner and Nordri, you've got yourself a pretty amazing team. The attack up, defense down, and elemental defense down, all just with pretty basic, standard, run-of-the-mill heroes. And yeah, the Toon Power Pulverizer, as we've got it named, gives him the Toon passive as well. So he can be a really staunch hero on defense with this costume. He's just got everything going for him, and then some. And that is what makes Grim my number 3 pick. Now on to the top 2 ice heroes. I hope you guys are agreeing so far, but even if you're not, it doesn't matter. This is my list. Anyways, coming in at number 2 is Kirill. Kirill is just awesome. Like I said, the versatility, I'd put him, in the same vein as we just looked at with Grim. Just the fact that he has so many different uses. And the reason I've put this Toon costume in at number 2 is that he gets this undispellable attack up and defense up for 3 turns, and it lasts for longer. It lasts for 5 turns on ice characters, and plus he gets the dispel with the tiles as well, which is super important. The Superior Jinx is the best superior talent for attacking heroes, so with everything that he's got going on in the Toon version, I think it makes him very desirable. The defense down is also really good, and you can pair him up with other ice heroes that give the negative effect where when it's dispelled it does damage. So heroes like Pop Hit that we've just seen, I use him alongside Pop Hit. I was lucky enough to grab him, and he dispels the defense down. You can use him with Starwalk. You can use him with loads of different heroes, and when he removes the effect, that damage triggers. He's just an awesome all-rounder, and despite the fact that he likes a bit of a tipple, he still deserves this. He deserves the number 2 spot. So Kirill is at number 2. And at number 1, in the Ice Heroes, in the Epic category, it is Xiaohu Dun. This might be a surprise for some of you, but it might not be for others. And if you've got him maxed and leveled, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be a huge surprise. His hit is hard, and he benefits from the attack up ether talent as well. I think it was attack up. I'll have to double check. It's either attack up or special skill damage, but either way he hits like a truck. He's got the right class to make him a viable defensive hero, but as an attacker you cannot do much better. He's everything you want at fast speed, and he summons this minion for the caster and nearby. As we saw with Yao, it's a dispel buffs from the target, but the thing is that he summons the minion for the caster and nearby, and not just for the caster. And at fast speed you can get a couple of those suckers out on the board, and you're basically just completely disabling the other team for putting any buffs up against you. He's fantastic, and he deserves the number 1 spot. So yeah, Xiaohu Dun is my pick for number 1 in the Ice Heroes. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Hopefully there are some agreements. Maybe there's going to be some disagreements as well. That's fine. I can take it. Don't worry. I want to hear what you guys think about these heroes in the comments. Let me know who you use on a regular basis. And also, please do drop us a like and subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss any future videos. With the upcoming Soul Exchange, I think it's going to be really useful, and hopefully I'll be able to help you guys sort of mull over some of your picks from this insanely good Soul Exchange that is coming up in the game. But for now, that is pretty much all I've got to say on these heroes. So I wish everybody all of the best, and I will see you all again in the next video. Bye for now.